Hi, and welcome to Digital Diva Chat. I am your host, Bia Hamid. Digital Divas is a set of programs made possible through Eastern Michigan University, and this program is supported by the Game Above. It is with their support that we can offer STEM programming on our college campus through after-school programming, summer camps, and programs like this, Diva Chats. Digital Diva strives to build a culture where girls and women feel like they belong in their STEM majors and careers. Digital Divas does this by giving middle and high school girls an introduction to STEM careers with hands-on engagement in STEM, encouragement, support, and role modeling. And with me today is one of EMU's role models, Rachel Ledesma Kinsella. Hi, welcome, Rachel.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am wonderful, thank you. I'm very excited to be a part of this program.
Well, we are thankful you could be with us here today. So why don't you tell me about yourself and tell me what your role at EMU is?
So I am an adjunct professor in the Information Assurance and Cyber Defense program at Eastern Michigan University. What that means is I get to both work my day job and teach at night and on weekends and any other time that I'm available to do so. I get to spend time with my passion both during the day and with young people all the time, and it's very exciting. I've been in the IT industry for about 20 years now, and I have been focused in cyber specifically for the past 7 years. I'm currently a security architect during the day and an adjunct professor at night.
Oh, you're really busy.
Yeah.
So could you tell me, what is your program all about? What is information assurance?
So information assurance is really a very large field. So what we have within the field is a couple of different specialties. So when you think about information security, right, you think about a couple of different things. There's role-based access and access control programs that ensure that the right people have the right access at the right time. Then you also have architecture and design, which is what I'm currently in. Architecture and design is all about designing things securely from the ground up, so that when we're building things and we're putting things together for companies and corporations and even schools, we're building them with secure controls from the beginning. And then the last piece is really about the true defense piece. This is the part where we're preventing the hackers, we're doing pen tests, where we're testing our controls, we're testing our theories, testing everything all the time to ensure that bad stuff that will happen is caught in a timely fashion.
So it sounds really technical. So what kind of what kind of skills do you need to go into a major of information assurance?
So really, it's about a couple of different things. It's problem solving. It's not that technical, though it is technical, don't get me wrong, but it's not so technical that nobody can do it unless you're super smart and play with computers all the time. The idea is that you need to be able to think logically. So you can think through problems and understand how to fix something. It's the same thing that we do every day, right? When you're driving your car on the road and there is a green light for you, but the car that is crossing you is still going so fast, you're going to stop, right? That's part of what we do every day. You stop so you don't get hit. That's the same logic that you apply here, right? You make sure that we're stopping things before we get hit.
So by you telling me that, I noticed there's no great emphasis on math or knowing some kind of computer programming or logic, so pretty much you can develop these skills in the program. You not necessarily have to have these skills to get into the program. Is that right?
Absolutely. You don't need that at all. As long as you are a problem solver and a puzzles person and you like figuring things out, this is going to be a great major for you. The other thing that you need to have for this major, though, full disclosure, is you need to have the desire to continue to learn. This is not a program where you're going to graduate from school and you're done. It's not how it works. The way that the world behaves, the way that our technology is developing, we have to learn all the time. If you love to learn, this is a great field for you too.
Okay, so is this a difficult major? Do you see a lot of students like changing their major or flunking out, or are they making it? Are they finishing this degree?
So not only are they finishing this degree, a lot of them are transferring in. So it's not that they're flunking out, they're actually transferring in. We've got some students from all over the world. I had the pleasure of teaching some master's students last semester that switched from accounting, of all things, and switched over to our field. And it is an amazing thing because, again, it's all about logic, which accounting, logic, right? Not necessarily the math part, though math can matter, but math doesn't really matter here. Math is maybe a subset of stuff if you're talking about like the cool machine learning, but that's its own program. It's not necessarily cyber defense.
Okay, so I know information security is everywhere. Like we're trying to keep our accounts safe, and we're trying to keep children safe online, and we're trying to, prevent hackers from getting into, databases that belong to big corporations. So what's the job field like? Are there a lot of jobs in cybersecurity?
Oh my goodness, there are so many jobs right now in cybersecurity, especially given the day's times, right? Especially with the fact that the world is what it is today, and there's a lot of folks working from home right now. Cybersecurity has exploded as a career field. Not that it wasn't exploding beforehand. Don't get me wrong. We had a significant shortage, and we continue to have a significant shortage of cybersecurity professionals here in the state of Michigan, in the Metro Detroit area. At any given time, there's about 30% of the jobs not being filled today. So then we had an explosion of needing even more people to do the job because of COVID-19. So now we are almost at 40% unfilled jobs. Wow. This is an excellent field to get into, and you're going to have a lot of opportunity to continue to work in this field.
So what does it look like for a woman who wants to find a job in cybersecurity?
Well, honestly, it's not that much different. I see a lot of women now in cybersecurity, and I didn't when I first started, right? So when I first started 20 years ago, I was one of the few, right? And my previous job, I was part of the leadership team, and actually all of the leaders in the cybersecurity team were females. So we are up and coming, we're moving, we're changing the world around us, and we're being heard very well. Because in this field, it doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, what race, what age. It matters if you can think and you can solve and you can do it in a way that people understand you. That is the biggest thing. Great.
So tell me about your class. What are some classroom activities that you have your class do? Is it all work, or do you guys do some practical things around information security?
So the courses that I teach are the junior and senior level courses. So we are really digging in deep in cybersecurity, and we get to do some really cool things. From a digital forensics perspective, we get to actually search for and find things in files. We take a computer and create a digital image of it, and then search for things within that digital image as part of the classroom assignments. In my incident response class right now, we do practical exercises on a weekly basis. There's a couple of different ways that you practice incident response, right? So an incident in the cybersecurity world means something bad has happened and we've got to figure out what it is because it's potentially dangerous. Potentially there's malware, potentially a hacker has gotten in. So there's a couple of ways to practice that. One is to have a lab and introduce malware or bad stuff into it. Another way to do it is to talk through it. And that's what we've been doing in my incident response class, is actually talking through it. on a pretty routine basis, and we do this live every week.
Now, so I'm imagining your class is probably, you meet in the classroom, it's not online.
So we do both.
Okay. All right.
And
so there's a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, and I can actually share with you what that tabletop exercise looks like.
Yeah, I would love that. Thanks.
All right, so here's what we look at. What we do is we come up with a fake computer network. Well, it's not really fake. I participate in a couple of different programs and volunteer in the state of Michigan through InfraGard, as well as Michigan Cyber Civilian Corps, MIC3. So I get to participate in a lot of incident response. So what I do is I change the names of the places and update things so that it's not really that company that I'm talking about, but it's really something that has happened. And basically I give them we talk about it hypothetically, like this is the computer network that, that was attacked. This is, what happened. So in this particular exercise, an employee called the help desk and they said, hey, I'm getting this ransomware screen and it says I have 4 days, 23 hours and 20 minutes to pay the ransom. This is an interesting situation because this is something that truly did happen in the real world. And if you know much about ransomware, this is an interesting time period because that means somebody waited about 40 to 50 minutes before calling the help desk to say that they had this screen pop up. So then it became oh no, is this spreading in that time period, right? And so that's how we start thinking about it. So this is the notification event that the students get. And then what happens next is I give them the tools that they have available to them. So, and I give them their roles. So you become the chief information security officer and their top advisors. You get told what tools you have available, next generation firewalls, intrusion prevention systems. We don't do it like at, this particular brand of intrusion prevention system because it doesn't matter, at least for this exercise. We talk about it at the level of what the technology is capable of. So we kind of look at that. And then the students are asked, what are we going to do? So they break out into smaller groups and they come up with what are they going to do? And they get nominated to a speaker. So each group has a speaker that talks about every idea that the team has had together. And then finally, what we do is they get their real-time feedback. So they say, oh, well, we would check the firewall, for example, for ransomware callouts. Okay, awesome, cool, that's a good idea. Oh, we would check antivirus logs to see which version of ransomware it is. Well, you can't do that because the ransomware has already taken over the machine, so you're not getting those logs. So we talk about it that way. The other thing that we do is sometimes I bring in a guest that help give feedback during these. And that helps too, because then it's not just me giving the feedback, it's also some of my additional professor team members giving some feedback to the students to help them understand what the technology is capable of, and also what bad stuff is going to happen, right? It's not just, you get an alert, you respond to alert. Sometimes you get an alert, you respond, and everything goes crazy. And this is preparing you for those times when everything goes crazy and you don't have all the information and you just have to make a decision.
So it sounds like you prepare them for the job.
Yep.
Giving them scenarios like this.
Absolutely.
That's great learning. That's really, I think, building confidence in your students to go out there and get that job. That they've been through it, they experience it, even though it's simulated, it is a real life example.
Yes. And the other thing that I do is during the classroom ones, I put in timers and they get multiple notifications coming at them. So they have 2 minutes to come up with a response. That builds in that sense of dread that I have to have an answer soon. It kind of helps prepare you for those moments because that does happen. You will be anxious. And by simulating that anxiety, we're trying to just kind of build it so that you know how you're going to react when you're anxious.
Wow, that's great. So you mentioned you bring speakers in. So are these people in the field that actually do the job that come see your students and talk?
Yes, yes. So I've got a friend, Professor Christopher Krieger. He's also an adjunct. Him and I have worked together for about 5 or 6 years now on various different topics. He is in the field doing incident response most of the time. So he also brings in some additional things, and we change around scenarios. We both teach the course, so we trade stuff back and forth so that we can continue to create a really enriched environment.
So it sounds like the content that you give your students is very up to date and very relevant for.
Yeah, we absolutely try to. And we also, we also try to make sure that, it's something that has actually happened so we can speak to it at a really knowledgeable level.
That's excellent. Boy, it really sounds like a very strong program. Could you tell me, once they're done and graduated, where do you see your graduates end up working at?
So a lot of them start out in a SOC, a Security Operations Center. And that is probably, think of it as your entry level into the cybersecurity world. A lot of SOCs today are a couple of different ways. One is as a service, meaning that you're working on maybe multiple companies' information at a given time. Or if you're at a mid-size or a large company, you're doing that on a day-to-day basis just for your own company. That's usually where you start. Starting salaries on those are between $50,000 and $60,000 a year. And then they go upwards pretty significantly from there. Most folks with at least 2 years of experience are making around $70,000.
That's money for just getting out of school. So what companies are these graduates working at?
Oh, geez, there's so many. So
name drop, let's hear a few.
So let's see, there is Creative Breakthroughs Incorporated, so CBI Security Inc. They are here in downtown Detroit as well as in Ferndale. They are a security operations center as a service. There is another one called Trusted Sec. They are also a security operations center as a service. There are so many. And then there's also industry verticals, right? So you have your finance, which is heavily regulated, your healthcare, which is also heavily regulated, nuclear, those different things. A lot of those are all around regulations. And so there's a lot of work there. And now we're even talking about things like within the automotives. So, when we're talking about automated vehicles and things like that, we've got to protect those automated vehicles so that they don't allow people to hack them and crash them like the Jeeps of a few years ago, where Jeep Liberties were being able to be taken over. And those are the kind of things that, we're protecting now. It's not just the traditionals, as I would call it, of the regulated industry, but now we're talking about anything with automation in it.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, I remember that hacking incident with the cars. So yeah, that is so important that we get behind that and preserve security for our citizens. So thank you so much for all this great information and insight into your major. So before we go, could you give our viewers some advice about life, major, school, higher ed?
Sure. So here's my thing. Here's my philosophy on life in general. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something that you love to do. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I might be busy. I might be crazy busy. I might be busy all the time, but I love it. It is not a chore. It is not something that I'm dreading doing. It's something I'm so excited for every day. And I get to do things that I love. Some of the things that I love are protecting things and teaching people. So I get to do a little bit of both every day. And part of teaching people isn't just being an adjunct professor, it's also teaching other IT people how to be secure, teaching other people how to put things in correctly so that we don't have problems later on. That is what I'm passionate about, and I get to do it every day. And I truly recommend finding what you're passionate about and doing it, because you will be that much more successful at it.
Rachel, thank you so much for your time today, and thanks for that advice. I hope you have a great day today. Thank you for being one of our role models.
Thank you.
Bye.